All right, baby. It's Leafs Talk on the Sportsnet Radio Podcast Network, Sportsnet Plus, everywhere. We're everywhere, baby. It's everywhere. Sam McKee, JD Bunkus. Follow us on Twitter at JD Bunkus, at Sam McKee. I said tonight was Throwback Thursday night. The Leafs got scored on first. They tried to outscore their problems. They gave up a sloppy goal to end a period, and they outshot the Florida Panthers, but still lost. How are you feeling about it?
If you had Panthers minus a goal and a half, that was a pornographic finish. That's all I know.
That's your start.
That was an electric finish for you if you had Panthers minus a goal and a half. I guess it's just the fact of the other games that we've watched so far this year. But I mean, this is by far the best the Leafs have played this season. Like in terms of them playing against other teams with wide open hockey, wide open chances. I don't think there's any comparison between the way they played tonight versus the first three games. Like, sure, there was some sloppy plays and, a couple of gaffes, but I didn't think they were nearly as bad in this game as they were in others. But yeah, I still ended up losing. Still a tight game against the Florida Panthers where they don't score a lot of goals. Like, yeah, there's a lot of PTSD things in this game, but I didn't hate it on a whole.
Yeah, I don't agree at all. Like the Leafs are a big comeback against the Montreal Canadiens away from starting the season 1-3 now. And I'm sorry, but like
they
Florida
played bad
Panthers
in 3 straight games.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers are missing their top two defensemen and one of their best three forwards in this game. Their first line center or second line center behind Barkov. Like the Leafs, for me, this is just kind of repeat night, rinse and repeat. Look at the time on ice tonight, Sammy. It's like Marner, 23 minutes. Matthews, same thing, 23 minutes. Like John Tavares, 18-25. William Nylander, 19. They put the good big guys out on the ice as they're chasing a game. They get a couple of power play opportunities. They don't score 5-on-5. Leafs, by the way, coming into tonight, 5-on-5, 27th in expected goals for. It's not going to get too much better after this game. I don't think that Bobrovsky completely shut them down. And we had another game where none of the Leafs' other forwards really play outside of Yarncroc, who gets the bump in the middle of it. You got Sheldon Keefe blending the lines. You got a horrible close to a period where they get scored on, just like they have all last year. And their fourth straight game where they get scored on first. Like, I'm just not handing out the participation cookies tonight. Like, I'm just not there. I'm with you that they played a better, like, playoff style of game tonight than the ones that we've seen through the first three. But, like, this is a disappointing result for the Toronto Maple Leafs here.
Yeah, I think everything you said is true there, but I'm just measuring it against the last 3 games I've watched, and this is a much more regular hockey game where they look like they're a good team to me. Like, I don't know. I just, after watching that game against the Blackhawks, I didn't love that game, and obviously the way it went against the other two teams. But I thought tonight was a tight playoff style game that gave me a little bit of hope that they can play against good teams. I know that they're missing their top 2 guys, but the bones of a really good team still there. They're well coached. They have the pedigree against the Leafs. I really didn't hate this result. I know you're seeming a little bit more upset about it than I am, but I just, I thought they're big boys, but like, this is what the Leafs are, man. Like, this is what the Leafs always have. If you're going to stick with the big core 4 and you can have a conversation about doing that, this is kind of what the games are going to look like. This is the whole thing. Like, we can have a conversation about how this plan isn't going to work, but if the 4 guys are there, they're going to play the most. They're going to be on the ice for 5 minutes at the end of every game when they're trailing, when the goalie's pulled. They're going to play the most minutes by far. This is just the plan. This is just the way it works. So, yeah, I thought Florida didn't play very well tonight. They took advantage of a couple of chances. I thought the Leafs just played a lot. I thought they were the better team in the game, except for a couple goals that went the other way. Yeah, I really have no problem with this result tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little stunned by that. I know that if Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander go over the boards, that they're going to have some positive results when it comes to possession time and shots on net. But like, I don't view tonight as like Bobrovsky goalied them. I thought that again with the goaltender pulled, the Leafs put on some of their best pressure. It's pressure off night. The start was horrific. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's 3 periods in this game and they started horribly. Like, it was a dreadful start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, they blended the lines in this game, Sammy. Their coach went into the dressing room and was like, we're not going with these same groupings. They put Yarncroc up on the top line, Matthew Nyes, who he's talking about wanting to get more out of, played only 11 minutes tonight. Like, I don't know what
Yeah, I
the
mean,
measure is here. Like, I don't know what
they
the
bring
measure
back
of success is.
they bring back the coach who tinkers everything. They bring back the 4 guys that play all the time. And it's just, this
Yeah.
is the Leafs games. This is what sometimes they go in for the Leafs and they didn't go in tonight. And this is really reminding me of a lot of the playoff games that they played against. Like I just, like I've said before, I'll say it again. I just didn't think they were that bad. And I know your team a little bit more upset, but
Yeah,
I'm
stop saying
not
upset.
drumming it
Feels like
up.
you're gaslighting me
No,
like I'm a girl in
no,
a fight. You're like, "Oh,
I'm
you're
not, I'm
upset.
just
You're
not,
upset." It's like,
yeah.
yeah, guess what, buddy? I want the team to look good. These are the problems with the
I
Leafs,
thought they
Sam.
did look good. They did look
Sammy,
good.
they've given up the first goal in all 4 of the games. They came out
Yeah.
slow. Like, were you watching the first period? They didn't play well.
Yeah.
They got completely caved in. Their coach shuffled the lines because they played poorly. And then they did the Leafs
The
thing,
coach
which is,
shuffles the line every game.
buddy,
That's what
they
he does.
shuffled the lines because it
Buddy, he
wasn't
shuffles the line every single game.
it
Every single game, this
wasn't
guy, he has done it so far.
it wasn't working. And then they're down 2 goals, and then they get a power play where everyone starts to gear up and they score on it. That's the one thing this season so far that's looked incredible outside of Nylander, Matthews, Marner, which is that the power play looks like it's gone into a different gear with Klingberg back there. Like, he is just unlocking some kind of a different dynamic with the group. But overall, it's like, yeah, man, I get a little bit more triggered when I see the same things over and over again. Like, 4 goals against to start games so far this season. Score first once. You lost to the Florida Panthers last year because you gave up sloppy goals to end periods. You did it again against the Florida Panthers. So, yeah, maybe it's just like the triggering of watching last year, but no,
Yeah.
like, this is not participation awards for the Toronto Maple Leafs anymore. Like, I'm not doing with this team in the regular season. Like, the process being better than a horrific game against the Blackhawks, like, yeah, that's not the bar for me in this anymore. And so, yeah, it's 4 games in, but to have them go with the coach that once again doesn't have these guys ready to rock and roll to begin the game, once again is blending the lines and has it where it's like, what exactly is going on here? And yet again, can't find ice time for his players. It's a little bit of a problematic thing. And that's before we get to like one of the other things, which is just, a absolutely dreadful 4th line that they can't put on the ice anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can blame the coach, but at some point, maybe you should start looking at the personnel in terms of who he has
Yeah.
to roll out there. Like, you're talking about him playing the top guys too much. I mean, does he want to score a goal or does he not want to score a goal? Because if the top
But
guys
that's what
aren't out
happens when
there,
you're chasing
they're
the
not going to
game,
score.
right?
But they're not going to score a goal if their top guys aren't out there. And I actually loved moving Bertuzzi down to the 3rd line with Domi. And if maybe they can get a non-junior hockey 3rd line center on the team, that may be able to, help them out. I don't know if they're going to bring Holmberg up there. They're going to move Willie to center, what they're going to do there. But like, yeah, the personnel to me is just, it's not necessarily great. It's, I'm starting to like look in the mirror here. I'm starting to like look at this team and be like, yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're probably going to make the playoffs. But it's just, I think it feels to me that it's just the same thing. It's the same team. And that's why I'm having a tough time getting like really bent out of shape 4 games into a season, because it just feels exactly the same as it always does in the regular season. Like, they're going to have these nights where the top guys don't score and they don't get any chip in from the bottom half of the lineup. Then it just turns out that they score 1 goal and that's the game. Like, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the depth guys, somebody's got to do something because Domi starts this game and he just looks totally lost. And I feel bad. And I mentioned on my podcast today, like, this is a guy who I know loves the Leafs. This is a guy where he gets it. It means something to him, right? You know that it's quiet around the dinner table right now in his house because he started the game. In the first period, I counted, he had 3 icings and 3 turnovers. Like, those aren't good stats. Those are bad stats.
Yeah, there's on one shift.
Yeah. No, he had the 3 icings on the one shift that he was responsible
iced it
for.
4 times and then.
But yeah, so I'm looking at this right now. He's been awful. The 4th line, which by the way has had 67% of their draws in the offensive zone to start this season so far, they get another one and they get scored on. They're now 3-0. They've been scored on. They took 2 penalties again tonight and they're being outshot by more than double. Like, I get what you're saying about, hey, the big boys look fine and this is kind of the standard recipe for the Toronto Maple Leafs and not getting too bent out of shape about 4 games in, but it's like, some of these things, it's got to be one thing or the other. Like Sheldon Keefe either has to trust some of these guys to play a few more minutes. The big boys have to make sure that they protect these leads and get out to better starts so that they're not chasing the game and they're not forced to play those guys 23 minutes a night. And the other guys got to play a little bit better. That's why to me, there's some things that are popping up here now through 4 games that small sample, it's early, blah, blah, blah. But obviously they're feeling it too if the coach is going with the line blending this early.
Yeah, the line blending tonight, obviously Yarncroc, like you've said to me multiple times, is going to be new Kerfoot, where he's just going to go to the line that he thinks needs to be fixed, and that's where he goes. He puts him on the top line with Matthews and Marner tonight, and then like I liked Nyes in spots tonight, but it really feels like, it feels like he hasn't really asserted himself quite yet. He still feels like a rookie to me in terms of him having these really flashy moments where he looks really good, but then other parts of the game you don't notice him as much. Maybe that's just because he's not getting deployed as much, he's not playing too much. It comes down to the coach, the trust level, and if he's going to play him a lot. And then like that fourth line, it's a scary thing. And like I like what Reeves brings, and I know we can kind of disagree on this, but like it's kind of it's looks like he's in the close to the end of his career. The way he's skating around out there.
He's older than me.
Yeah,
he's 37.
Yeah, and you are really old. So that's crazy. It's just he looks like he's close to the end here, and he might be a guy that they're gonna like. To me, this looks like a team that's gonna call up some guys to the Marlies here at some point. And I don't know who it is. Yeah, Bobby McMahon, one of these guys, like just Nick Robertson. They're gonna have an influx of these guys that are gonna come in up and play in their bottom 6, see if there's anyone that can grab hold of a spot, and they're gonna hope that their big guys can carry them through that point. Like that's kind of how I feel it's going to happen.
Buddy, though,
that's what they did. But that's what they did all last year. Like they had injuries in the bottom half of their lineup. They brought guys up from the Marlies the whole time. They had no decor guys from the Marlies were playing. Like they're gonna flux people in and out, and that's how they're gonna try to fix the bottom 6. There's no money.
I'm with you. The problem is that they're completely capped out, and they can't just shuttle guys up and down. Like they're gonna have to make hard line decisions if that's going to be the strategy here. Like they're not just going to be capable to just go, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to shuttle up Bobby McMahon tonight. We're going to shuttle up Nick Robertson tonight. Like you're going to have to make decisions about the rest of your roster if you're going to do that. Dude, don't forget, this is a team that let Sam Lafferty go, who would be pretty damn useful for them right now. Had it not been, sorry, I got a little camera thing going on here. Had it not been for how tight they are under the cap. And so it's just like, I don't see the solutions coming unless they're a little bit internal, and Sheldon Keefe just decides that he tries to find out a little bit more of what he has with the group. To me, just like so much of this starts with they got to establish a third line that is either a scoring line or a shutdown line with Kampf. Like make a decision. Either let Domi play center, let Nylander run his own line, or put Kampf back at the 3C with some actual competent players. Because like here's what I know for a fact. And it's 4 games in. Reeves, Gregor, and Kampf does not work for anyone. It is not a line.
And I will say, I do like parts of all 3 of their games. And I thought Gregor going up the lineup to me today was a little bit interesting just for, he's not going to, Noah Gregor is going to play on your second line all year, clearly. But to me, he's the type of guy that can move up and down a little bit he can skate, he can fire it a bit. Like he's got a bit of offensive instincts. So I do like some of the things that he does. And I do like, but I don't think Reeves can be an everyday guy. Like I really don't. I think that he's going to be the type of guy that you play in spurts and you play him in big tough games, I guess. But like, it's pretty clear here pretty early on that he's having a tough time. He's having a tough time playing the actual hockey games. He's not having a tough time running his mouth off the ice. He's not having a tough time hitting people and fighting people. He's good at that. But like when it comes to actually playing the game, he's struggling, man. He is struggling. He's treading water.
Dude, he's doing a lot of pointing in the D zone. Like, because he can't move. He's doing a lot of point. Hey, look, there's a guy over there. It's like, yeah, you're not getting there. And it sucks too, because it's the same position as a bunch of the older players that you like that Toronto has brought into town, right? Like, I didn't want to dislike Joe Thornton. I love Joe Thornton's career, right? I was always a Jumbo guy. I know you were too. What did you like more than when someone would tell you they had a Joe Thornton story someone used to play? It was so exciting. Now it's like, yeah, damn it. Wayne Simmons, we watched him get so old here where it was just done. And now it's like Ryan Reeves is the next in line of it just feels like it's the Corey Perry curse, buddy. They didn't want Corey Perry as the veteran on the fourth line, and he was always the one. And ever since then, they've been just chasing it, trying to bring in different veteran name fourth liner after one another, and it just isn't there. It's not working. But yeah, to me, so much of this is just going to hinge on whether Max Domi can find his game, because I know he's not this bad. And I am curious how much of this is just like the pressure and the lack of ice time.
Yeah.
But you've got to unlock one of him.
At some point, we
It's on
can't
him.
we can't keep being like, oh, and it's a lot of pressure for him to play here and the
I know.
name and all that. It's like at some
I
point we
know.
have to break free of that excuse.
Buddy,
Like
I'm with you.
he's been
I
handling
feel sad.
a grenade out there. Like it's like
Yeah.
he looks like he can't make a play. Like this
Yeah.
guy, I've watched this guy play his whole career. He's an offensively skilled guy who's able to snap a pass. He's good. He's a really good. He sees the ice. He can take it up. He can go. Like he's an offensive player, but like he can't even do that part of his game. He's
I was
he's
just going to
really
say,
really fighting it. There's not one part of his thing that's working. So it's hard for me not to think that it's the pressure and feeling it and being in Toronto and all that stuff. But like, you know, he's making big money. At some point, you have to figure it out. Like at some
yeah.
point here, we have to stop you making the excuses, right?
No, dude, he's making
it's
$3
a tough
million
one.
bucks.
It's a
He's
tough
making
one.
$3 million bucks. He's got to produce for this team. I guess like to kind of tie this thing come full circle with this game, and why part of it is frustrating to me is like, I know it's 4 games in. I know that this team could end up making a big trade in the middle of the year, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Minton's going to be gone. They're going to shuffle up a Marley here or two. Like ultimately the big guys look great, which is awesome.
They
Like
all look
Matthews is healthy.
unbelievable.
Good. Fine. Samsonov, I thought came back into normal Samsonov tonight, which is a positive story for them. But a lot of this season, this offseason anyways, was, hey, bring in some guys. If you were going to be excited about the Leafs, like your best case scenario, right? Hey, what's to be optimistic about this team? It was that they were going to have more firepower, that it was going to feel like they were going to have other guys in the lineup that could score. Nye's coming up, playing a full season here. Domi being at least like, okay, he's a liability, but he'll be someone who creates for you. Bertuzzi, who's going to be another guy that was coming off of this incredible playoffs and someone who we thought was going to unlock a new part of his game playing in the top 6 and with these skilled guys. And so far, like tonight, all of the other guys around the lineup that weren't here from a year ago that are supposed to make a difference against a team like Florida, where you get to play a little bit more offensive hockey, doesn't show up, doesn't materialize. So yeah, 4 games, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We do a show after every single game. I'm not going to apologize for this stuff. So far, not great.
Do you think, like, do you have belief that Domi is going to turn it around?
Here's what I'll say. I think it's very Nick Ritchie-esque, where this avalanche is only like the snowball going downhill is going to keep building.
That's what Gordo said. Gordo said that on our show yesterday too, that you can't let this get to Nick Ritchie land.
Yeah, like that's it. It reminds me of Nick Ritchie land. And you know, there was a moment in this
That's
game
a
where
terrible amusement park, by the way.
yeah, that
Just just a bunch of guys walking around looking like mutants, just grunting.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
just Richie face everywhere.
I was gonna say at least Domi doesn't have Richie face, because that was what made the Richie experience so much worse, was that he had Richie face. He had a hard case of the Richie face. I think for Domi, he had a moment in this game where it was the 4-on-4 and Keefe threw him out there with
Gregor.
Nylander.
Oh, he did
No,
with Gregor
Nylander.
too. Oh, he
That
did
was
with
later.
Gregor,
Yeah, that was later. But the first one he threw him out with Nylander. Then he gave him the opportunity with Gregor. And then there was an offensive zone draw where he put Domi in the middle. And Domi won the draw, by the way. And there was Nyes and Bertuzzi with him. And the entire time, you know how bad he's going. I obviously have a rooting interest with the Leafs. I want them to do well. But I found myself going like that little extra, come on, man. Come on. Like find one. Make
let
play.
something happen for him.
I hate it. I don't like I'm telling you the truth, dude. I don't like talking about it anymore. And I feel like, you know, complicit in this now, right? Because I'm talking about it, everybody's talking about it, and you can't not talk about it. And like I said, that first period from Domi was among the worst periods I've seen from a Leaf in a while. Like I said, 3 icings that he's responsible for and 3 turnovers where he was just putting cookies into the middle of the ice like hot potato, trying to get it off his stick. And this is a guy who's supposed to be kind of calm with it on his stick. So I'll tell you
his
this.
whole thing. It's like the poise. So he played 3 minutes above his normal amount tonight, and it was probably a lot to do with that one shift where he was out there icing it the whole time.
2 minutes of icings.
But I'm just looking at these ice times, right? And it's just, it's not
Nyes is
sustainable.
the trouble one. Nyes is the one that I hate because like they clearly tried to bump him up. They tried to give him something, and I'm with you, dude. Like the 11 minutes Nyes had tonight were
Mhm.
noticeable. Like he's
Yeah.
hungry on pucks. He's got good energy. I like his feet. Like there's just Nyes popped in a positive way for me tonight. Like from the
To me,
very jump, like that the first shift of the game was him, and it's like he's right down the ice. He's on a puck. He's on someone's back. He puts pressure on the defenders. I like Nyes a lot. He's got
a
to play
lot
more than 12 minutes.
a lot of this to me feels like a coach who's transitioning from coaching a really defensive team where he's like got in his mind that he doesn't want to give up anything to
Yep,
a new general manager coming in and
bro.
completely changing the style of game that they're going to play, and him not trusting anyone because he's still got like last year's Leafs team in his mind. Like, I know that's probably nonsensical and not true, but
No,
that's
I don't think
a
it is,
lot.
dude. I think
A
it's a
lot of
big
this,
thing.
a lot of this feels like that to me, where it's like, he's like, I gotta get Yarncroc up there right now because they've
Yep.
bled two chances. I gotta get this the best defensive thing I can possibly do. Like I have to end these fourth. I have to end the periods with my fourth line. He's doing it every game, and it's like, don't do that. Like you got to figure out what this team is. You got to kind of have to come to grips with the fact that this team is a more of a trade chances team.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like it's probably going to take some coaching from Keefe. I see some people getting on him for tinkering with everything tonight. Like I really expected Nyes to play more tonight, but
Yep.
like the first sign of trouble, it's like bang right back to Yarncroc. So
Man, this is it. This is my worry. This
yeah,
is my big thing from the game is like, and I texted you and Born this during the second intermission. I went, it's probably
mm,
not good that the coach that's been criticized for his team getting off to slow starts has another game where his team gets off to a slow start. They have a
yeah,
lack of attention to detail late in the period,
mhm,
and then he immediately goes and blends the lines. And dude, I'm with you on the whole he's having a tough time transitioning thing. The thing with
yeah,
Keefe is that he's a big attention to detail guy. I don't think that that's the way that he wants to play is the fire wagon hockey. He doesn't want to have his
no,
guys doing that because he's probably right that it's going to be harder to win the playoffs that way, even though Florida
yeah,
just did it. But man, if you're Brad Treliving and you're sitting up there in the media box, and this is a
mhm.
coach that you weren't sure about during the offseason, but you went to and you decided that it was going to be stable and he was your guy and you gave him an extension. And then you went, hey, we signed Bertuzzi and Domi and we signed Camp to an extension and we got Reeves here,
Klingberg,
Klingberg, and then you're looking down at the sheet every single night, and all the guys that
he
you just
doesn't
brought
play
to
any of
town
them.
are playing 14 or less every
He
single
doesn't
night.
play them.
Like, that's not great. And what do we say about great coaches in every sport, right? You
Yeah.
don't play to your system in the pros. This isn't college sports. You play
No.
to the personnel you have. And the Leafs personnel is offensive hockey, trade chance hockey.
Yeah.
So figure it out. Get these guys going because you're not going to get to replace Max Domi with like what are the guys in the Marlies that you're talking about shuttling up here that are going to take minutes from those dudes and make you feel better? You think Pontus
Well,
Holmberg is going to
there's
come up
just
and save the day? You think
I
Nick
I think yeah, I don't think they're gonna come up and save the day, but I think they can come up and play capable defensive hockey, which he wants to do. Like I remember, I don't know for sure, but like it can't get much worse defensively than they have been on that fourth line. Like there's no
Mhm.
way to me that you bring up Bobby McMahon and put him in instead of Ryan Reeves at your worst
Yeah, I know.
defensively.
That's the
Like
thing. Ryan
there's no
Reeves
way
3-year
that yeah.
contract.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing about that contract is it's easily buried. Like
I
that's
know,
it's
but
gone.
it's just like
It's not like it's a anchor by any stretch of the imagination. You barely have to pay any money on it. It's all that part of it doesn't worry to me. It's just
except for he cost you Lafferty already.
yeah, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna lose sleep over Old Sammy laugh. He was all right. He's fine. You loved him way more than me. He's fine.
Looking good
Like
so far in Vancouver. I'll tell you, Canucks fans sure like him.
they'll jump on they'll get excited out there and then they'll start hating
That's
him in
true.
10 games. They'll
Well,
tear
they
him
got
down.
excited for
Boy, that
Lebo
Sam
too.
Lafferty hasn't scored in a while. All it does is rain here.
I'm
Anyways,
just saying, would you rather have Lafferty or Ryan Reeves right now?
well, I think they brought him in for a different reason. Like it's not that
Sure.
they brought it's just they brought in a guy for the vibes, man. They want to make sure everybody feels good. Got a guy punching people's lights out.
Sure. I
Yeah.
like me. I like an enforcer as much as anybody. I love a
Yeah.
scrap. It makes me
I know.
hockey
I wish
happy.
I don't know. I think you would have preferred the nerdy analytics guy, old Sammy Laugh.
I I
You and Doobie.
I just think that the team so far They
Looks
really
like crap.
it's four the four guys at the top look fine. Although I
Yeah.
will say, like, this is a down ballot storyline, but I will say that Tavares has looked pretty shaky in his own end when he has to go back there.
Yeah,
And
he always has.
yeah,
He's never been any good in his own zone.
I
Like
I
but
guess
the
it
thing
just
is he's got a conscience, so he goes
yeah
back there and he looks like
yeah
he's like going deep, but he's never really
he's got a
doing much.
conscience is the
He
right way to
does.
put it. He
He's got a
tries.
conscience. He's not
Yeah,
like Willie hanging out at the blue line like me in beer
no,
league. He's
yeah,
actually got a conscience. He's down there,
yeah,
but like it doesn't he doesn't really do much. Like
no,
Matthews is legitimately unbelievable
yeah, he's
in
crazy
all
good.
facets of the game. Like I know he's -2 tonight or whatever.
No,
I guess when you're playing 30 minutes a night, you're probably going to be on the ice for some goals, but like he just looks unbelievable in all facets. So like that gives me hope. They're just going to win a ton of games on the back of those four guys, and that's been the whole recipe the whole time. And
mhm,
if you want to quibble with that recipe, and if you want to maybe trade one of these guys for some depth, like if it's like the Nylander thing, but he looks unbelievable. I just
mhm.
don't know how they get out of this. I don't know how they get out of this like cycle. They
You know what's
don't.
funny? I'm now you're right. Maybe I am an analytics guy because this year has pushed me full Dubasite in the sense of
Oh boy.
I'm just so sick of the cap. Like I'm so sick of the
Oh
hard cap.
yeah, it's
Dude, there's
brutal.
14 teams. I said it today on my podcast with Myrtle. 14 teams in the
Yeah,
NHL can't call up a single player.
yeah. It's Gary Bettman has created 25
Yeah.
of the exact same team.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there's
Good
there's
job,
like there's like three really good ones, and then 22 of the same team, and then the rest are just crap. That's the league.
man.
Sick.
Florida goes to the cup.
Yeah,
They got Matthew Kachuk. They do it in an exciting way.
yeah,
Puck drops. Look at the stands. Lower bowl, what, half full?
yeah,
Like
yeah. And it's
filled
like
out throughout the game, but yeah, just
barely. But great. We want
yeah.
Florida. Like you didn't even know what hockey was until last week. Give me a
Hey,
break.
I actually kind of respected them for the "We Want Florida" chant. I thought that was
But
good
it's
that they
dumb.
carried it over.
It's dumb. You are Florida.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense. Like
but it's the
we
talk,
want
but
Florida. Just say you got Florida. Like don't say we want Florida.
yeah, but you're
Doesn't
just
make any
mocking the
sense.
guys.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
mocking 101 is you just
Yeah.
repeat what the guy
You know
said.
what the great part about that is that they love to cut out all those bozos at Maple Leaf Square just chanted we want Boston too. But they're like, oh, let's for cherry pick it. Let's cherry pick it.
I
We had Bill Lindsay on our show today who does the radio
yeah,
for the Florida. And
yeah.
I actually when I texted him, I didn't put my full name in because I didn't think he'd come on the show because last year he like eviscerated me for how much I made fun of Florida and their
That's
fans.
amazing. That's so good.
So I was like, I don't want to text him and tell my actual name
I
because
love
I'm
that.
gonna, I'm gonna end up on Panthers
That's
Reddit
so
again.
good. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other big picture thing for me? Like I
Yeah.
said, I think we touched on
Uh,
Domi Keefe, everything, the fourth line. Yeah, nice.
you sent this to me, and it was something that I was thinking. Other than the bobble of the puck tonight, I love Klingberg in the offensive zone.
Dude, I just
He
think he's
is breathtaking offensively.
yeah.
Maybe you should put him at forward. Third line center,
The
Klingberg.
Cabriolet takes that we're
Yeah.
back. Like, yeah,
Gardner moved to Gardner, and now it's moving to him. Like maybe
man.
that's the take. He's
Okay.
so good offensively. His instincts are amazing.
So I actually tried to get this takeout with Cuthbert the other night when he was filling in for you, but
Yeah.
we started talking about Nylander's lower body strength because I said to
Mm,
me the defining characteristics of the Leafs right now in terms of like the best skill set attribute, right? So like Matthews's wrist shot is the best thing on the team. Like it's a better skill than anyone on the team has. I think that
okay.
like Nylander's actually like not like,
Marner's vision's right there.
I know Marner's vision, but that's also something like it's not as quantifiable as just like a hard wrist shot, right? Like
Mm,
Klingberg's seam pass, like the
mhm,
seam pass that Klingberg can snap is
mhm.
hockey porn. Like if you watch
Yeah,
this night in, night out, he is easily the biggest aesthetic change to the Leafs. And yeah, he's a bit of like, he's not going
no,
to
don't say a
confuse
bit.
anybody.
Don't say a bit.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's a disaster in his own zone. Like he's
Yeah.
really bad. He's
But he's
like
big
he's
at least.
making Yeah, but like he's making these reads where he's stepping up to like the blue line in the defensive zone, and
Mhm.
guys are getting in behind him, and he's on the boards. He looks like he's terrified of contact. Like his
Yeah.
defensive zone stuff is not good, but
He
man,
does look afraid of contact.
he's terrified of it. There's like a
Yeah.
time tonight where he's fire pokered with the guy was coming in on him. Guy turns it over. He's just not into the contact part of the game,
But
which
you remember
yeah,
when Barry came and he started doing the fake shot and then like he would shoot it, but it was too much and he would be missing the
yeah,
net?
yeah,
Like Klingberg's wrister is also nice. Like it's a decent weapon. He puts it on net. He knows where to
yeah.
put the puck. Like he's not going to go. I don't think he's going to be like ripping them past goaltenders, going bar down or anything like that. But he just makes plays in that end. I love him there. And if you're talking about like getting the best out of those four guys,
Mhm.
your four studs,
Yeah.
I think he is actually that play might have worked out, which is funny because it's the one everybody criticized. Other rapid fire topic for me.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much I love the Matthews Marner PK. They're dangerous. Like
Oh,
every
you didn't
game,
think you would?
I just thought that buddy, I'm a bit of a traditionalist this way. Like,
Oh,
I've always sort of viewed don't let your great players. I don't want to see Matthews block a shot on the PK.
he
I'm
led
used to
the
Marner
league
doing it.
in shot blocks for forwards last year. This was an
That's it.
obvious thing.
But
This is
that's what I'm
obvious.
saying, though. I just got to get over it, right? Like I've just had to
Yeah.
get over a stupid mental block.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those two guys on the PK, it's fun. Sometimes you feel like they're on the power play.
I
Like
know.
they get the other guys on their back foot, and all of a sudden they have it in the ozone, and you're like, "Holy crap! How did you guys get down here?" And you feel really dangerous.
You know,
I
when I
love it.
was
I think
doing
it's the best tinker of the season.
when I was doing Sportsnet today's with Gunner and we had Ennis in and we were talking about it, and I had to talk
Mhm.
both of them off the ledge. They're like, "No, I don't." I'm like, "Yes, I've been all in on this from the start.
Yeah,
I've always thought he should kill penalties. It's he's all his skill sets lead to him being an excellent penalty killer. He's great defensively, awesome at picking pucks off, great in transition, and the chemistry with him and Marner, it's a no-brainer. Like they have a
yeah,
chance to be Bergeron and Marchand. Like this could be the best penalty kill duo in the league. They're really, really dynamic. And they had that rush today where it didn't even end up with a goal,
yeah,
but like it just like they went down into the offensive zone, passed it around beautifully. Matthews gets it behind the net, comes out, keeps possession, and shoots it back into his own zone. And they killed off 30 seconds of the penalty penalty kill.
yeah.
It's amazing. I love them together. I really, really love them together.
Other rapid fire topic for me. How sick
Morgan
did you
Riley get a new
feel?
stick.
No, I was going to say, how sick did you feel when Kulikov pushed Nylander and the numbers into the boards and he went in with the shoulder and then they went to commercial break of all things
Yeah.
right away? They're like, we're going to go to break. And I went, what happens next coming out of this commercial break is going to determine like
This
a
season.
lot of my happiness over the next couple months. Like imagine the Leafs without Nylander right now. I don't want to think about that.
Uh,
Like replace him with Nick Robertson. Woof.
I thought, the way that they called this game tonight, which was if you breathed, you got a penalty. I thought that was a pretty clear miss with the ref looking right at it, but that's neither here nor there. Uh, Willie doesn't get hurt. Like I'll touch some wood here. He's durable, man. Like he really, really is durable. So I was not too worried about him getting up there and he was fine. But yeah, it was a little bit dirty. He was kind of falling already. But the way the standard was, I thought they might have called it, but I wasn't too bent out of shape. But yeah, it was
I
really nice
wasn't
to just
excited
see
in shape
him.
about either. I
No,
didn't think it was that dirty of a play, but it just when you put it in slow motion, it looked way
yeah.
worse than it was live.
Well, anything does. It's the fastest game on earth. They're playing on
Yeah.
knives and ice. Like it goes pretty
Yeah.
quick out there. It was a fast play. It's not that it wasn't to me. It wasn't really much of a penalty. Could have called it with the standard because they were calling everything, but I wasn't too upset about not calling that there.
Any other rapid fire topics for you?
I love Morgan Riley this year so far. I think he's
Yeah,
been
same.
really, really, really good.
He and Brody are
Yeah,
so integral to this.
Brody, to me, they're at a point where I know they played really well together, but the way this decor looks, maybe you have to spread the love out a little bit and see what you can do. Get a little bit, some trying some different things. I don't know what you do. Maybe you try McCabe and Riley. I don't know.
No,
Maybe you try Brody, McCabe played together a little bit. I
no.
don't. Maybe it's just more of a McCabe thing with me. But
I
Morgan
was just gonna
Riley,
say, you know what you should do is play McCabe less. I actually liked the pairings tonight. I thought it kind of
yeah,
worked. I thought
yeah.
Giordano looked
No,
like
they were pretty
decent.
good tonight. I didn't like they
Yeah,
were fine defensively to me tonight. I didn't think they
yeah.
really had a lot. Like I said, I don't know what the chat looked like tonight, but they're probably murdering me for not hating the game. But I Morgan Riley just looks like he's confident, Morgan Riley, and like what we've talked about a million times with him. But the way you tell when he's on is if he's reading the play right and making the right decision when to jump, when to not jump. He's just everything in his game. He's showing off all his skills all the time. He's hitting guys this year. He's more physical. I've
Mhm.
just loved his game through 4 games so far this year. It's been excellent for the Leafs, I think.
Thought he was solid tonight as well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
maybe put the puck in the wide open net.
That
I
first
know
one
it
was
I
hard.
know
It
it
was
pulled
a
on him a little bit.
healer. It was a healer. It was a tough
Yeah,
angle. Goalie was there, had to rush it. It just like
right.
at least hit the side of the net.
Yeah,
Don't like bang it off the end glass. That's a
yeah.
tough look.
I was gonna say, you're in full
Yeah.
apologist mode
No,
tonight if you're
buddy, it
like,
was a
"They
hard play.
played great and
Okay,
lost, and then Riley should
okay
have."
there, shooter. You try to bang one in for along the red line going full speed. It was a tough
Hey,
play. Should have
yeah,
scored. He'll tell you 100 times out of 100 he should have scored, and it would have
yeah.
been a big moment in the game for him to do it, but it was a harder play than it looked.
I
It is.
agree it was a harder play
Yeah,
than it looked.
yeah.
That that
One
as
one went
the
through his
great Don
legs at the
Draper
end of
said,
the
"That's what the money's for."
yeah, I
What?
know. One at the end of the game was worse. Like the one at the end of the game was worse, where it like came
Mhm.
out to him and he had a chance and he like Bill Bucknered it. It went through his legs. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't love either of those plays, but other than that, he's been great. And
Anyway,
quickly, but speaking of physicality,
yeah,
Matthews is rocking guys this year.
I
He's
know.
had like
I love him.
4 or 5 noticeable hits through 4 games this year. I don't know who he got on the forecheck tonight, but it was
Mhm.
a hard hit where he looked like he cared. He looked like he wanted to hurt somebody. And I'm like, oh my God, that is nice. I like that. Do that more.
Man, I my biggest fear
Mm,
is that Matthews,
mm,
Nylander, Marner have
mm.
all hit their best parts of their primes, and they
And
have the worst team that's ever been assembled around them.
yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, everybody that just heard that, that'll keep him up tonight. It's a, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but boy, they've had some pretty crappy surrounding cores too. Like it really is. Thanks salary cap. Like they've
Mhm.
developed and been able to sign these 4 guys, and they've just been have to surround them with a lot of moving
Well,
parts.
this is the thing too. Like, I know nobody wants to hear this, and I honestly I want to tell people that are listening to this that are frustrated that we're doing this after 4 games. The it's 4 games crowd. Can we relax crowd? It's like these are the conversations that people are having. Your friends are probably having them. Rational people are probably having them. But I did have a quick thought about, this is also the downside of having the mercenary team year over year, right? Like that the Leafs
Mm,
have had where you have to change out all the parts is like we can criticize the moves Trey Living's made, but he also came onto a team where it was like, hey man, you got to fill a ton of these holes. And Ryan O'Reilly doesn't want to come back and Luke Shen doesn't want to go back. And he's like, I guess Max Domi, and it doesn't really fit, but it's a name and I got to use some of this money. And at least maybe there's an upside play here. Like, who are the free agents
mhm.
that you really wanted, right? What were the
Yeah,
trades that were going to be able to
I
get
know.
made? Like
Yeah.
it just you kind of had to build this roster on the fly. And so yeah, like maybe the car isn't perfect. Like you used to watch that F1 show. Remember how
Oh yeah.
like
And then I figured out the fastest car just wins every race. So I was like, I
yeah,
think I'm
I
gonna
know.
quit watching this.
I gotta tell you, it was a tough look for F1 show that
Yeah.
they were like, it's not going to be just about the fastest car anymore.
It's
And
like,
then Max
oh, the
Verstappen
most
won
money,
every
fastest
single
car,
race.
win every time.
And it was just
Shocker.
like, oh yeah, it's kind of hard to watch that show now. It's
Yeah.
lost a little bit of luster.
Um,
Anyway, all right, we're going long here. You got anything else? You want to wrap this up?
yeah, just you talk about the 4 game thing. Cautionary tale. Last year they were horrific to start the year too. And they came back. They went on that road trip where they went to California. They were
That was the
awful.
stars that sucked.
Pardon?
That was
Yeah,
the
I
star
know.
players that
But
sucked.
it's a different thing. I understand it, but like they do have some slow starts here. They've talked about it in
Mhm,
training camp about slow starts. This is a traditionally slow starting team. So
mhm.
I predicted yesterday on Kipper and Bourne that this trip may go south and we may be having some hard conversations. But I don't think it necessarily means they're going to suck or whatever. But I do
Yeah.
think that this trip could go a little south. And I'm not just talking about where it is located.
Can I ask you a truth serum question though?
Absolutely.
You're my best buddy to ask you the
Yeah.
truth. Like
Yeah.
right now,
Uh-huh.
you would do you think that there's a bigger chance they suck more than years past though?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. And it's mostly just because of I would say the decor more than even the forward depth because I think they can patch over some of the stuff like I said with claiming somebody off waivers or calling somebody up or set like I really don't I'm not worried as much about the forwards, but I do think the decor down the stretch here, especially if someone gets hurt, like that's what gives me the biggest worry is the decor. So I know they're decent tonight, but yeah, I'll give you that. I'd say there's a more of a chance they suck this year than years past. I'll go that far.
I want to see either a third line that Domi is centering with
Yeah.
the likes of a Robertson and a Yarncroc,
Mhm.
or or I don't know, and then a fourth line that, or a third line that has David Camp, Yarncroc, and maybe Bertuzzi for a little while, and try to give somebody else the Matthews Marner assignment and see what Bertuzzi can do with a different group. But
I would say Bertuzzi might be time to shoot some pucks in the old net for $5 million.
yeah,
Like he's a greaser out there and the hair's flying around, and I do like him a lot.
mhm,
But it's not just paid for that; paid for some production. So they're gonna need to
yeah,
get someone to him. But I don't
yeah,
think Matthews and Marner are so good. You can use him in other parts of the lineup.
yeah. All right,
Getting
well,
eyes
we'll
up on
see.
that line. See what happens. All right, we're
Play
going
nice
on.
more than 12 minutes. Play nice more
Agree.
than 11:30 or whatever
Agree.
the hell he had tonight.
Agree.
Sheldon, please, for
Agree.
the love of God. Anyway, Leafs Talk, subscribe to the podcast, leave 5 stars. Again, hit the thumbs up on YouTube. For the love of God, it takes 1 second if you like it. Even if you're kind of like a hater, just put a comment in the YouTube,
Oh boy. People
whatever.
probably hate me. People probably hate me tonight. I could feel it. I can feel that people,
Nah,
the comments will be rotten and the
buddy.
tweets. I know it. I know it's
Nah,
bad
you know
tonight.
what? No, buddy.
They're,
This was
they'll
actually
be
a
like,
great
oh,
show
they'll
because
be like, oh, Mr. Apologist.
no, guess what? Some people will be in the chat going, Mr. Hater, it's 4 games. Relax. They outshot them. They got goalied again. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it works, buddy. They prey, those
Yeah.
damn YouTube commenters, they prey on your insecurities. It's gonna be fine.
I
We'll be fine.
never read them. I literally never read them.
I will give the odd scan through, and then I go, don't do this ever again. And then I stay out of it for a little while.
I love it.
So that's nice. Just remember, our moms watch this show, right? You pieces of garbage. That
My mom is at my house right now, so I'm gonna go
guaranteed
cry to
watch
her.
it.
I'm gonna go cry to her about the
Yeah,
comments.
they're mean. I was just
Oh,
trying to
mommy,
be positive about the team.
mommy,
Yeah.
they're mean.
All
All
right.
right.
Go be with money, mummy. For JD Bunkis and Sam McKee. Go be with money and mummy. For JD Bunkis and Sam McKee, this is Leafs Talk. Subscribe to the pod, leave 5 stars, and we will see you Saturday night.